We have risen from the ashes to school the masses. We have boop. Oh, that is the worst stumbling
Tongue
over my
twister.
words. You know who we are. We are the Scholars of Wrestling. I am your man behind the microphone, Scholar Jeff, your reigning and defending Scholars of Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion. It's right after the holidays. It's the last episode of the year. You know what that means. It is time for the annual Scholly Awards. And also joining us this week, as always, the OG Undisputed Scholar himself. He is the one and only Scholar Tarek. Scholar Tarek, I know you love that intro, don't you?
That was definitely one hell of an intro. Definitely one hell of a tongue twister. And just coming in here, not 100%, but it's the Schollies. There's no way I'm not missing this.
As well, you should. Also joining us this week, we've got another Undisputed Scholar in his own right. He is Scholar Brian. Scholar Brian, how's life treating you, sir?
The Christmas hangover is gone, and I'm ready to I'm ready for the end of year extravaganza. Got a lot of shit to get through, so let's do it.
Indeed. Moving on, we also have joining us, as always, he is, you know him, you love him, he is absolutely mom's favorite. He is Scholar Charlie. Scholar Charlie, are you mom's favorite?
I am mom's favorite. She picked this shirt out. I'm ready. It was an amazing holiday. Still got my money in the bank, my Scholar in the bank briefcase, waiting for you, Mr. Jeffrey. And let's do this.
And last but absolutely not least, he is our coach. He is Scholar Jeremy joining us this evening. Jay, how's life treating you?
Doing pretty good. The coach is back once again, and I'm looking forward to this pay-per-view and the Schollies. It's my favorite time of the year.
Brilliant. Now we got a lot of show to talk about. We've got the Scholly Awards, the best and worst of 2023 in our final episode of the year. But before we get to all that, we also have a pay-per-view from AEW to get through. We've got AEW World's End. So before we go into the Schollies proper, let's make some predictions, shall we? This is AEW World's End. Starting things off with, out of nowhere, a mystery battle royal for a number one contendership at the TNT title. No, as of the time of this recording, no entrants have officially been announced yet. But you know what? I'm just going to take a guess here. We're all just going to throw things at the dartboard and see what sticks. I am going to go with Darby Allin making a surprise return. Charlie, next pick's up to you. Who do you got?
I have no idea what's going on in this, and you already stole my pick. So I'm going to be cheap and say Darby Allin.
All right, be cheap. We're all going Darby. Jeremy, are you going Darby or are you going to be bold?
I'm going to be bold, and I'm going to go with Will Ospreay.
Also a very good choice, Will Ospreay. Tarek, it's your pick up next. Who you got?
I'm gonna just go different and just say it's gonna go to Wardlow.
Another
Good
bold
pick.
choice. Brian, which way you going?
You see, I'm not going to go with Darby Allin because I'm pretty sure he's in a match later on in the card.
Oh, crap. That's right. He
So,
He
is.
totally is, whatever.
So I'm not going to do that.
Forget
but
us, right?
Considering I have no idea who is actually going to be in this thing, and for the title that it's for, oh,
Dun dun dun.
Not
so easy now, is it?
Fucking battle royal first.
Now you just gotta pull that Jeopardy theme.
What are the cards?
Let's see.
Just pick a body and throw it at it.
I'll go with my tag team partner. That's it, Wardlow. I'm just throwing a name out there because I can't think too hard about a battle royal that in the end is going to mean nothing.
It's true.
There you go. Boom. We're locked in. This is rapid fire speed round. Let's go. Next match. We've got for the FTW title. We've got Hook defending his title against Wheeler Yuta. Charlie, Hook or Wheeler Yuta? Go.
Hook.
We got one for Hook. Jay, which way you going?
2 for Hook.
2 for Hook. Are we going to make it 3, Tarek?
I'm gonna go for Dustin Hoffman.
Dustin Hoffman. It's in the book.
Hook.
Ryan, what's
Hook.
Brian, which way you going?
If it was for anything other than the FTW title, I would have gone the other way. But because it's for the FTW title, it's got to be Hook.
And do we have a consensus? Me, yes, we do. That's a first. Okay, clearly I'm on my A game today. So in that spirit, we're going to go to our next match. We've got the Continental Classic final match, the match I never expected to see, but I'm very delighted I'm getting. We've got Eddie Kingston versus Jon Moxley. Jay, you've got the first pick. Who do you got, Kingston or Moxley?
Eddie takes it all. I don't care what anyone says.
Okay, that's one for Eddie Kingston. Tarek, do I even need to ask?
You do, because I'm also going to choose Kingston, even though I lost any interest in the Continental Classic. Now, I don't care.
I figured, and that's a discussion that I definitely want to pick up another time, depending on what the result of this is. But Brian, your pick up next. Who you got, Eddie or Mox?
Once they put a title for this, I knew that it was going to be Kingston in the finals, and the only way it makes sense for Kingston to be in the finals is if he's facing Moxley. And the only way any of this makes sense is if Kingston gets the win. Overcomes all his demons, becomes a guy. That's apparently what this Continental Classic tournament was supposed to be from the jump, so finish it off. Eddie Kingston wins and finishes his last demon.
I'll tell you what, I truly, honestly did not expect this to go this way. I hoped Eddie Kingston would make it to the finals, but I honestly thought that either Jay White or Swerve are going to end up going to the finals and winning the thing. But hey, I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. This gives him his proper accolades without giving the AEW title. I'll take it. Eddie Kingston. Charlie, do we have a consensus?
Yes, we do, because I'm not playing checkers anymore, Jeffrey. I know you're going to pick Eddie Kingston, so I'm going to pick Eddie Kingston. And that way, we will have more of a competition.
Oh, you silly goof.
It's not
Anyway.
a competition if you're legit going for the. Oh, Charlie's pulling the Charlie.
Charlie
going
is
for the
indeed
tie.
pulling the Charlie. Next match.
I
Next
see where
match,
this is
we've
going.
got Julia Hart versus Abaddon for the TBS Championship. Tarek, your pick. Who do you got?
Does anyone actually think Abaddon is going to win this? So, Julia Hart.
All right, that's one for Julia. Brian, which way we going?
In the easiest women's match picks ever, both of these women's matches are so easy to pick. There's not a chance in hell that Julia Hart is not leaving with that title. Julia Hart wins.
All right, that's two, and my vote is going to make it three for Julia Gulia. Charlie, which way you going?
Julia Hart. And I was going to pick it from the start, so.
Of course you were. And Jay, do we have a consensus?
Yes, we do. Julia Hart for the win.
Splendid. All right, that brings us to our next match on the card, which is for the AEW Women's Championship. Timeless Toni Storm defending her championship against Riho. Brian, let me know what you think.
Finishing off the easiest picks ever list. Come on, Toni Storm.
I will join you on that. Toni Storm is just coming too strong out of the gate, and it's not her time to lose it yet. Charlie, which way you going?
I hate Rio, so let's go with Toni Storm.
All right, that's three for Toni time. Jay, which way you going?
Agree with Charlie for hating Rio. She's awesome, but we're going with Toni Storm.
Oh, you kids and your opinions.
Riho is to Charlie as Eddie Kingston is to Tarek.
Hey, we all have our soft spots, don't we? Speaking of Tarek, it's your final pick. Who do you got between Toni Storm and Riho?
Timeless Toni Storm.
All right. Yet another consensus. I love it, but I sort of don't. Next match, we've got an 8-man tag match. There's a lot of names. We've got Ricky Starks and Big Bill and the Don Callis family versus Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Sting, and Darby Allin. And I am going for I honestly don't know. I'm going to go with Team Sting because I don't know what else to do. Charlie, which way are you going?
Faces.
Okay, that's two for Team Sting. Jay, which way are you going?
Sting don't lose. Team Sting.
Uh-oh, I think we've got another one in the bag here. Tarek, which way are you going?
I want to say the Don Callis family just to keep that ball rolling, but I can't choose a team that has Sting in it to lose. So yeah, team face.
And Brian, do we have a consensus?
Sammy Guevara just came back. Sting's on the team. Yeah, we have a consensus. Sting's not Sting's not losing unless it's his final match.
Delightful. Next match we've got Swerve Strickland versus Keith Lee. Charlie, it's your pick up next. Who do you got?
Swerve.
That's just one for Swerve. Jay, which way you going?
Gonna be a different one. I'm gonna go with Keith Lee because I think he needs a push.
All right, we finally have a consensus broken. Tarek, which way you going?
I want to pick Keith Lee, but I feel like he would need the momentum, like he would need the win more than Swerve does, but I just can't see Swerve losing.
All right, that's another one for Swerve. Brian, what you got?
Swerve's too high right now. If it was any other time, except after the Continental Classic, where Swerve looked as good as he did, and after the Hangman Page shit, you can't have Swerve lose a singles match that isn't part of the Continental Classic right now.
It's just hard if this was right after their initial tag team breakup last year, then this would be a much bigger discussion. But yeah, they took too much time away from these two separating from their tag team to not have a Swerve take this one.
Unfortunately, I gotta agree. Swerve, especially, he's been closing out the year very, very strong. As much as I love Keith Lee, he's been out for too long and he's lost a little bit of momentum that hasn't quite gotten back yet. So the latter part of 2023 is the year of Swerve. So I'm gonna have to go with that. Which leads us to our penultimate match between Miro versus Andrade El Idolo with CJ Perry at ringside. Jay, I believe it's your pick up next. Who do you got?
I don't think CJ is going to be at ringside. She has a major infection, so I don't think she's going to be there. But if anything, it's going to be Miro. I'm sorry, you don't pull this type of shit and not get your head kicked in.
All right. Tarek, which way you going?
I'm not gonna lie, this one's actually the hardest match for me to predict because really thinking about it, both guys can't really afford to lose. Uh, I'm just gonna go ahead and be different. I'm gonna choose Andrade El Idolo.
Okay, we got another split room. Brian, which way you going?
I think Andrade is okay enough right now after his performance in the Continental Classic, where he does not need a victory right now, whereas Miro's basically been squashing people. So it's like you, you I cannot see Miro losing this match. It, for Miro, it's a must win, whereas for Andrade, it is not. That's how I'm going. That's how I'm going here. I'm gonna go with Miro for the victory.
I'm gonna go with Miro to win as well, but for no other reason than I just want to see him and CJ just teamed back up again. That's enough beating around the bush here. Let's just bring the power couple back and let's just roll with it. Charlie, which way are you going?
Miro for the win.
Miro for the win. All right. And that will bring us to our final prediction of the card for this one. We've got MJF defending his AEW championship against Samoa Joe. Tarek, what you got?
I don't think MJF is losing the title unless it's whoever the devil is. So MJF.
Yeah, that's one for MJF. Brian, which way you going?
I was I was Samoa Joe up until the final segment where he did the cardinal sin for all title contenders. The go home show before the pay per view. If you want to win at the pay per view, you do not end the show holding the title up above your head on the go home show. And adding into the fact that Tony Khan at his press conference gave very big hints that we will finally get culmination of the Devil storyline this at the, during this show. Yeah, MJF's not losing the title until the devil is revealed, and we all know. I think we all have a pretty good idea of who the devil is going to be, and whoever the devil is going to be the one to take the title off of MJF. He's still going to hold it for another couple months.
All right. I'm not quite sure if the devil is going to be the one to take off the belt off of MJF, but I don't think it's going to be Samoa Joe either. I came close to going with Joe, but ultimately I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be someone else who takes the title off him later next year. But for now, MJF retains. Charlie, which way are you going?
There's no way MJF is losing the championship on Long Island. So MJF.
Okay. And last but not least, Jay, which way are you going?
Whether or not what happened at the end of the show, I still don't like Samoa Joe, and he's not winning. No way. It's going to be MJF.
All right. And with that, so we did our official speed run of
Are we missing a
AEW
match?
World's End. I don't think so.
There was one that was added about an hour before about an hour before recording on Twitter, and
Of course there is.
and it was that thing that the WWE does where whoever wasn't given matches on the pay-per-view, everyone in the Continental Classic that doesn't have a match on the pay-per-view thrown into a showcase 8-man tag match. So it's Claudio, Bryan Danielson, Mark Briscoe, and Daniel Garcia versus Brody King, Jay Lethal, Jay White,
And Roosh.
and Roosh.
I was talking about the TNT title match with
Oh yeah,
Christian
yeah, I
and
knew we missed.
Oh
Adam
yeah.
Copeland.
Oh yeah, Christian and Edge.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I don't know
Brody
how I
King.
missed that, but yeah, Edge and Christian I'm just going to put that down as the last match. Edge and Christian, which way are you going? Brian.
It's like
Brian?
I don't want Christian's on such a roll right now, but it's like they already did they already. Do you have him win again so quickly after him beating Edge on the Dynamite? You know what? He's too good right now. Keep rolling with Christian. Keep rolling with the patriarchy, baby.
Wow.
You know what? I'm going to start playing some mind games of my own.
Okay.
I honestly think this could go either way. I think Edge is going to take this one. I'm going to put
What?
I'm going back Edge. Charlie, which way are you going?
Adam Copeland.
Okay, we got another one for Edge. Jay.
Well, on this day, it's going to be Edge.
Okay, we got one more for Edge. Tark, which way are you going?
I'm also going to go with Adam Copeland.
All right. There is another one in the books. But you know what? While we're here, let's just do a
Team Blue for that 8-man tag.
which one's Team Blue?
Jay
Whoever.
White, Jay Lethal.
Oh no.
No, it's
No,
basically
it's a-
faces versus heels.
Basically the one with whoever has Danielson in the group.
Yeah.
That team.
I'm listing it as Team Blackpool Combat Club versus Team Jay
Yeah, they were
White.
Team Blue. Yeah, they were on the blue brackets. Yeah.
They mixed and matched them.
But
Oh, Team
I
Face.
think-
Team
I
Face.
think it's gonna be Team Danielson, but I think they're gonna let Daniel Garcia get the pin because of how because of how nuts I think his storyline in the tournament was the best one.
All right. So you're going Team Faces.
I am going Team Faces.
All right, that's one for Faces. I'm also gonna go with Faces because I was sort of blindsided by this. And plus I like Mark Briscoe. Charlie, which way you going?
Faces.
Faces. And Jay.
Heels. Let's go. Bang, bang, gang.
All right, and Tarek.
Team Faces.
Faces. Game blouses. Brilliant.
So Charlie, do you want to announce it now, or do you want to wait until?
I am cashing in my money in the bank beefcake.
That is some cheap ass bullshit, and you know it. Really.
You can bring that title to Jeremy's New Year's Eve party. Thank you.
That we will discuss this later, but in the meantime,
What?
we got the
I'm confused.
It's me
They
too.
tied.
Oh, is it
They
a tie?
had the same
he
prediction.
deliberately picked every
I
single
did not
Oh.
deliberately
choice.
pick everything
Oh.
you did.
I didn't even
Okay,
pay
I'm
attention.
sorry.
That
All but one. All but one pick.
No.
That is some silly nonsense right there.
is it all like? Is it a complete tie or is it
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, well, there you go. Sorry, fool.
This
Be
is
great
gonna be
pick,
some
though.
bullshit, but
Hey,
whatever.
I tried. Gave you layups to give different picks, but you didn't want to do it.
Hey, I could pick whatever in the world, but shenanigans are going to ensue no matter what I do. But all that notwithstanding, speaking of shenanigans, we got a lot of the world of wrestling to cover with the best and worst of 2023. Let's just dive into it. This is the 2023 Scholars of Wrestling Scholly Awards. Starting with the superstar of the year, the male wrestler of the year. And I am going to go with MJF. He just had too strong of a showing, and especially after Punk's leaving, a good strong case could be made that he is pretty much carrying the main event scene on his shoulders right now. So I'm going to go with MJF. Next in line, Charlie. Which way you going for superstar of the year?
There were 3 men that this came down to in my eyes, but I can only choose one. At first, I wanted to choose
That works,
Rick
Charlie.
Rollins. Then I wanted to choose Cody Rhodes. Then Gunther. And I think I'm honestly going to go with Gunther. From Royal Rumble throughout the whole year, he has been on fire, and nothing can stop him. Gunther for male superstar of the year.
All right. In that case, we've got Jay. It's your pick up next. Who do you got for male superstar of the year?
It was either going to be Orange Cassidy or my pick, but I had to go with the reigning and defending Ring of Honor champion and the strong openweight champion. I had to go with Eddie. Eddie Kingston was just banger after banger after banger of a year for him. And he's had a dynamite year. If you look at his card from top to bottom, winning the strong openweight title, winning the Ring of Honor title, his match at Grand Slam, he just hit every note. Every match I've watched was just one after the other. And come Saturday, he's going to get his due by winning the Triple Crown.
You'll get absolutely no argument from me on that, but you may get an argument from Tarek. Who is your male superstar of the year?
I'm going to pick someone who actually can put banger after banger after banger all year, and that is going to be the reigning Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, Gunther. The man has not had one bad match this entire year. He has been booked so strong. He is now the longest person in a Royal Rumble.
Fuck yeah.
This has just been his absolute year, and he doesn't put on shit shows like Eddie Kingston. So, yeah, Gunther all the way, all hail the ring general, and congratulations on him becoming a father.
Yes.
Once again, you will get absolutely no argument from me on that. Very well said. Brian, who's your male superstar of the year?
Good. I get to be completely different than anybody else. I'm going to go with the superstar who's, even though he didn't have as many matches on our soil as everybody else, who's been mentioned on this list, he has, in my eyes, had the best matches that I've seen all year, and I am going to go with Will Ospreay.
Good
The
choice.
All right.
matches,
Very
the
good
matches
choice.
that he put on with Kenny Omega at the all the Japan matches that I watched, all the AEW shows he came to and put on, he another guy who just comes in and puts on banger after banger after banger, and I enjoyed every second of it, and I can't wait to see what he does in 2024 under the AEW umbrella.
Fantastic. That brings us to our next category, which conversely is the most underused superstar of the year. Whoever thought we believe that could be better utilized in whatever capacity. And Charlie, it's your pick up first. Who is your pick for most underused superstar of the year?
I'm doing these all on the spot. So bear with me for a second. But no, that wouldn't make sense if I did them for underused and favorite.
It's all your, whatever your reasoning is, it's entirely your pick.
You know what? He's getting shine now, but I still feel like it's not enough. So I'm going to go with Bronson Reed.
Okay, I can see that. I can see that. All right. With that, Jay, who's your pick?
I had to go with Limitless Keith Lee. They did not do anything with him all year. He had a couple of high spots here and there. He beat Shane Taylor at Final Battle, which that was a good match. But other than that, he hasn't done a lot this year. And I'm hoping at World's End he's going to get his restart going with his career.
Again, no argument from me. I just hope his health is doing okay and the big man's doing good. Tarek, it's your pick up next. Most underused superstar of the year.
This is one I actually will agree with Jeremy. This was actually a very hard one, but because mostly people have been doing great this year. But yeah, I just wish we get to see more of Keith Lee, injuries aside. But hopefully 2024, this match at World's End is a kickstart to something great for him.
All right, Brian, your pick up next. Who you got for underused superstar of the year?
I mean, both of the names that have been picked are very good for underused, but Keith Lee is the obvious one for me. There were underlying circumstances as to why he wasn't on TV for most of the year, but when you have that guy, okay, you use him. That's basically, not using him is criminal. And the fact that they're starting to use him again is good. And I really do expect big things for him in 2024, whether he stays in AEW or he leaves and goes back to WWE. Okay, I expect big things for that dude, and I want big things for that dude. And obviously, what AEW has done with him since he's bought in, since he came to the company, not good enough.
And I'll admit I'm going to go on a little bit of a mini rant here for my pick because we ran into something very unique this year. We ran into the rare moment in time where someone from Vince McMahon's WWE, several people have been ignored or underutilized in the Triple H regime. The Triple H regime, generally speaking, much better, more consistent, but there's still a few names that have fallen through the cracks. It's rare, but it happens. We lost Elias. We lost what's his name? Rick Boogs. I feel like there's some upside for them. And came very close to picking either one of them, but really for me there was only one pick above all others. And let's be real, this is probably going to be the last time I ever mention her name on this show again. Lacey Evans.
Fair.
Yeah, she had some of the most stop-starty booking I have ever seen. And if any of you have caught her last interview on Chris Van Vliet's show, just the amount of like jerking around she had to deal with, like there was something like you could tell like the spark had just like been snuffed out almost completely. It almost seems like CM Punk light, it almost seemed. And giving her booking, I can't say I blame her, especially when you were gearing her up to, during her pairing with Ric Flair, she admitted that they were actually going to put the title on her. She was actually going to win it, and then she got pregnant, which, again, can't fault her for, but there is no rationalizing her booking after the fact. It was just too stop-starty and too stupid. And because of that, I think we've sort of burned out a woman who had a lot more to give to the wrestling business and a lot more to offer if she just was given more to work with. So for the last time, possibly ever, I'm picking Lacey Evans. And yeah, what am I supposed to do now? Now there's no more muscle mommies for me to turn to except Rhea Ripley, Ivy Nile, Raquel Rodriguez doesn't count. And
Just
I
stick
don't
with
know.
mommy.
Yeah.
Always stick with mommy. Come on.
Yeah, I'm practically starving to death. Oh, I almost
Tell you
forgot
something.
I almost forgot Jordan Grace and Karlak from Baldur's Gate 3. But you know what? Even though I'm starving to death, I'm going to soldier on because I'm a champion and that's what champions do. Drop that freaking
You're not the
mic on
champion
out.
anymore.
He's technically the champion
I
until
don't.
he's technically the
Hey.
champion until the pay-per-view starts.
You're damn right I am. Moving on. We've got also the breakout star of the year who just completely broke away from a pack and had a stellar year compared
This
to
is
where they
easy.
were. It very well, it probably is. Jay, it's your pickup next regardless. Lay it on me.
One quick thing, Brian, who'd you pick for underutilized? I didn't hear.
I pick Keith Lee.
Oh, I didn't. Your thing cut out. Sorry.
Don't
Okay.
you forget about
But
Keith.
okay, breakout start of the year. I'm not gonna lie, as much as I hate this guy, like I normally will see a guy come into a wrestling organization, build himself up, build character, and I'm like, okay, he's starting to grow me, and then he just friggin' tanked midsummer near the end. But the breakout star of the year for me is Swerve Strickland. As much as I hate that son of a bitch, I can't stand him. He's a good quality wrestler, but he had a banger of a year.
All right. Good pick. We've got Tarek up next. Who do you got?
I picked someone who completely got out of the shadow of his father and became one of the most hated characters in all of wrestling. I'm
Do
picking
it.
Dominic Mysterio.
Yes.
Fuck yeah.
Picking Dirty Dom. I mean, the improvement that of his in-ring work as well is just absolutely incredible. And I just can't deny it. It's like, yeah, joining the Judgment Day was honestly the best thing for him. And now he is like I said, one of the most hated characters in all of wrestling. And he's one of the hardest workers there. And I just gotta tip my hat to that.
What he said is my pick. What he said is my pick.
Well, fine, jump ahead of the line.
Jump the
on.
curb, Charlie.
Be that dingus. All right.
Brian.
Brian, make your pick.
You know what? I'm kind of upset that I didn't even think about Dirty Dom. But the reason I didn't think about Dirty Dom is because there was somebody who jumped so far ahead of his competition from the beginning of the year that for some reason it took Dirty Dom right out of my mind, and I'm agreeing with Scholly Jeremy over here. It's Swerve. It's Swerve all the way. Dude's choking out Hangman Page, who choked out John Moxley. And it's like, what, he's been in the company for a year now?
Yeah.
And he's already leagues above what he was doing in NXT. And now they're talking he's the future of the business. So yeah, okay. Yeah, it's Swerve. It's Swerve 100%.
Maybe. I was about to go with Swerve totally, but then again, I need a consensus ruling on something. When do you feel like LA Knight really started taking off?
I knew someone was gonna pick him. I knew it.
After his
And I
feud
know
with
it was
Bray.
got to be Jeff. But
After his feud with Bray.
That's what I thought. So
after his feud with Bray. Yep.
If Swerve had been on this upward incline earlier in the year, I would have absolutely gone for Swerve because he's put on some absolute bangers. But I'm like, how can I look at what LA Knight has done in the past year, post Bray or even during Bray? Just that whole thing. I cannot, in good conscience, not go for LA Knight. Yeah, like
Yeah.
The only reason
Yeah.
I didn't go for LA Knight is because his push was 2 steps 30. It's like, oh, we're
even
gonna come
so-
out of nowhere and give him a title match, and then we're not gonna see him. And now he's doing what he's doing with AJ Styles, and it's just all over the place. Yeah, he's over with the crowd, but he's all over the place right now. So it's like that. I went with someone who's got an obvious direction that we're going, and all that. So I'm not denying LA Knight. I'm not denying Dirty Dom. Dirty Dom. Holy shit, Dirty Dom. Okay. But it's like I just think with the direction that they took him in, I think that Swerve was the meteoric rise that is here to stay and go further. I don't know, but I'm uncertain. I'm uncertain at this point, but I'm a little burned out on LA Knight. That's just me. But
Burned out since the summer when the WWE fans wouldn't shut the fuck up at the
I
Prudential
will
Center
always
every
say
5
that
seconds.
I will always say that they gave him the title match too early.
That I do agree with.
Well, all that being said, we have our next category on deck, which is Tag Team of the Year. And Tarek, it's your pick up next in this category. Which way you going?
It's actually really funny because this is this is usually my toughest category because I just really no tag team really made that much of an impact on me the entire year. But really, the only tag team that actually hit me on an emotional when it comes to storytelling aspects, I'll just go with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Enough to
Nice.
like get me emotionally invested in their storyline because I know their history so much, and then it just cultivates in the main event of WrestleMania. So Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I wish their tag team title reign lasted longer, but I don't know when it comes to just an emotional impact of storytelling, I'm gonna go with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
True enough. Brian, your pick up next. Which way you going?
I mean, the easy pick here based on accolades would probably be FTR,
They're my number two, actually.
but just based off of accolades, because no tag team really stood out to me on either brand, on any brand that had wrestling this year. But I don't want to go. I don't want to immediately be the same as Scholar Tarek, like immediately after the fact, and because we've basically been on the same page the entire time with these. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the easy and the obvious. I'm gonna go with FPR.
Can't argue that. Can't argue.
I'll tell you what, I had my number one and number two swapped. KO and Sammy, I came close to picking them, but I could not give it to FTR. They're still too good. As good of a strong early first quarter of the year that KO and Sammy had, I think FTR has been more or less more consistent. And you can go either way, but I'm just going FTR, just purely opinion. Charlie, it's your pick up next. Tag Team of the Year.
You can keep your FTR. You can keep your Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I'm going by team that I had the most fun with this year, and that team is Pretty Deadly.
Ooh.
Okay.
That's a
Honestly, I personally could have gone for they're a good strong contender for underused superstar because whenever they're on TV, they do excellent work. I definitely respect that choice. Jay, which way you going?
Oh, Charlie's Monkey Rat, Pretty Deadly. Dude, I'm a Pretty Deadly fan, actually, surprisingly.
Yes,
But
boy!
oh my God, there were so many good teams this year. One I was gonna say was Chase U. Chase U really won me over with what they did this year, but I got to go 2 years in a row with FTR. They just had such a strong catalog of matches from beginning to end. It's just unbelievable. When those guys retire, I'm gonna be really sad. It's gonna be a very sad day in wrestling for me.
I think you still got a ways to go.
You
Sure,
got
indeed.
you got at least 4 years. I think they signed a
Yeah.
5-year deal.
Yeah, thankfully we still haven't reached the end of the FTR train just yet. But that brings us to our next category, which is Feud of the Year. And Brian, it's your pick up first. Which way you going?
Sami Zayn versus the Bloodline.
Good choice.
The
All
first
right.
3 months of the year were the Sami Zayn show. I could have honestly seen a scenario where they went Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. I could have seen that. They and based off of what they did with Cody Rhodes, I think they maybe should have gone with that, but they would have gotten less vitriol for what happened at the end of WrestleMania if they had gone with that. But there was no storyline that hit me harder than anything that Sami Zayn did with the Bloodline at the beginning of the year. So Sami Zayn versus the Bloodline.
I'm going to have to agree with you. That was definitely my pick by a country mile. A lot of time has passed between the beginning of the year and now, but that feud was white hot electric. there's no other doubt in my mind, but maybe there's more doubt in Charlie's mind. Which way are you going?
No, at first I was gonna go with Sami Zayn versus Roman solely, but you gotta add the bloodline aspect to it.
All right, that's 3. Jay, which way you picking?
My few of the year is actually now on hold due to injury, but I had to go with Kenny Omega versus the Don Callis family. That was the most entertaining thing I've seen all year. Just the fact that Kenny had a pretty bad year if you really look at it, from winning the trios title to literally just losing everything, and now he's out with diverticulitis. So he's had a really rough year. But it's just, I love the fact that they, like, he's had to recruit so many people to fight against Don Callis, and just that he keeps coming back like a leech, freaking Callis, and just I can't wait. I'm just, whenever Kenny comes back and he's healed up, I'm just hoping they re-kick that storyline and Kenny can actually get back on track. But it's just from, like, what was it? Blood and Guts. It wasn't Stadium Stampede. Shoot, it was the
I think
but anyway,
it was Stadium Stampede because it was in the stadium.
was it Doug Callis at All Out? No, I don't think it was that. No, that was the
No, that was the
that was the
Combat
tag
Club.
match. That was the tag match.
Oh, yeah.
The Don Callis family, where Takeshita pinned Omega. Like, it's just been such a great amount of storytelling in my opinion. But still, Kenny versus Callis is just feud of the year, hands down.
All right. And
I-
Tarek, your pick for feud of the year.
In all honesty, you guys said it. It's Sami Zayn versus the Bloodline. I cannot argue. That's the one. When I look at the Bloodline storyline as a whole, the highest points are with Sami Zayn. The Bloodline storyline peaked at at last year's War Games with Sami betraying Kevin Owens, and once Sami attacked Roman with the steel chair, and just so many different emotional aspects. Yeah, he attacked the tribal chief, but then you have the story with him and Jay, and then Jimmy is the one that did the initial attack, and just yeah, Sami the biggest was the biggest good guy. Everyone wanted him to win, and it even culminated to in adding to my tag team with him and Kevin Owens being tag team of the year, ending it at WrestleMania. At least ending that part of their story. Yeah, I just can't choose anything other than Sami versus the Bloodline. The closest one that I got was probably Gunther versus The Miz, and that was just basically the biggest names when it comes to the Intercontinental Championship to feud, and it actually got me invested in a Miz match. Go figure. But yeah, when it comes to which one shows it, I can't choose anything other than Sami Zayn versus the Bloodline.
I will say that in the middle of the year, Swerve versus Hangman did give it a run for its money for me. But when you go with emotionally invested, there was nothing better.
All right. Speaking of nothing better, that is a great segue to our picks for match of the year. It's my pick up first, and there was a lot of really great matches this year, so it really just comes down to, I think, just purely personal opinion, more so than any other category. So for this, I am going to go with MJF versus Bryan Danielson in their Iron Man match at Revolution. This one, there are a lot of really great matches once again, but this match just had me from start to finish, just between the pacing, the psychology, and just showing off reminding us all how good MJF truly is. It's just, if I had to pick just one, I would have to hang my hat on this one. But again, a loaded year loaded with lots of great matches. So I'm
I will
interested to
say,
know what you think. Go
I
ahead.
will say, I love the shot of MJF basically trying to get air while Danielson is doing the jumps. I could do this all day thing is one of the highlight moments of the year for me.
For sure. It's just top to bottom in every aspect, incredible. But
Mhm.
Charlie, it's your pick up first.
I
Which way you
guarantee you
going?
no one's gonna have my match of the year. Io Sky, Bianca Belair, Backlash.
Very
Ooh,
interesting.
You are right.
Okay.
No one's gonna pick that.
No.
But it is a good one.
The way the crowd interacted with that match, I was captivated throughout the whole thing.
You know what? Now that you're bringing me back, that I remember that being a very, very hot crowd, just out of
Yeah.
nowhere. I get it now. I get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good pick. Jay, it's your next. Who you got?
I actually had this put two together. It had to be Osprey versus Omega at Wrestle Kingdom and at Forbidden Door. Just those two matches, just I couldn't pick which one was better. I actually watched both today just to be like, okay, which one do I like better? And I'm like, I just got to slam them together because it's just I can't wait to the third one.
And Tarek, it's your pick up next. Which one is your match of the year?
Pretty much the one match that just solidified why I love the Intercontinental Championship so much. I'm going to choose the triple threat match between Gunther, Drew McIntyre, and Sheamus because nothing like personifies the love for the Intercontinental Championship than just three beefy men just beating the ever-loving shit out of each other for that title, and just the emotional of Sheamus trying to go for it, and then his personal relationship with Drew, who wants to get himself involved in. Yeah, nothing. That was my match of WrestleMania, and that was just nothing came close to topping that match for me.
I'm not going to argue with you. I came very close to picking that myself. But Brian, it's your pick now. Which is your match of the year?
I will say that actually coming into this recording, I was going to go with Omega versus Osprey because those two matches were basically the reason I put Osprey as my wrestler of the year. But then I was talking about the feud of the year between Sami Zayn and the Bloodline, and I remembered Elimination Chamber, Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns, the only match in the last few years that got me visibly emotional throughout the entire thing, especially at the end when Kevin Owens came out and they teamed back up. So, you know what? Yeah, Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns, Elimination Chamber, my match of the
Right.
year.
Very interesting. Everyone's got different picks. I like it. But now we're going to go into a bit of a fun one here, at least for me. We've got worst match of the year. And Charlie, it's your pick up first. What was your pick for worst match of the year?
Okay. This past Tuesday, I went to WWE Live at Madison Square Garden, and that brought the return of Omos versus R-Truth in a squash match. And I was just livid, not only that Omos is back, because I can't stand him, but that he crushed R-Truth. I'm going to go with that.
All right. Very good. Jay, which one's your worst match of the year in your opinion?
I can't argue with Charlie, but I'm glad that almost crushed R-Truth. R-Truth is trash anyway, but I digress. For me, it was Ronda Rousey versus Shayna Baszler at SummerSlam. That was oh, that was an awful match.
Dana center packing.
Yeah, that one was a tricky one. Tarek, it's your pick up next. Worst match of the year.
Actually, Jeremy just took it. Shayna Baszler versus Ronda Rousey, because when you try and stage an MMA fight, oh, for God's sake, that match was just sad to watch. And it just made you ask, why couldn't you just do a fight pit instead of just trying to stage a MMA, a real quote quote MMA fight? It just was just a fail all around. And yeah, it was my worst match of the year.
I don't know, just pull the lines down out of storage and make them fight in that thing. Come on.
Anything is better than what they did.
Well, maybe except for one thing. But before we get to that, Brian, let's hear your pick. Worst match of the year.
It is very hard to do this off the top of your head for worst match of the year. It's fine for best match, but when you're thinking about bad stuff, it's hard to come off the top of your head. But as soon as as soon as Jeremy and Tarek started talking, I started to remember. And what I remember is going basically exactly like what Tarek said. You can't stage an MMA fight. It is impossible. You can't do it. And the fact that you tried with 2 MMA fighters and you failed, just make it an MMA match. Just have it MMA style, just like, hey Dana, can, can, can we have an MMA fight on our wrestling show? It's like you're on Endeavor, you're on the same crew now, basically. Just ask the dude if we can have an actual MMA fight. Don't try to stage when you can't do it. Okay. And they showed you why, and they showed you how. And it was incredibly
Woof.
makes me want to puke
Yeah.
just talking about it.
Woof. That's all I'll say.
Yeah,
I'll
big
tell you
time woof.
what. I'll tell you what. I came very close to going Ronda Shayna as well until I got reminded of something very particular that happened a while back that I just shut out of my memory for so long. And that is Gable Steveson versus Baron Corbin at NXT Great American Bash.
Wow.
It may have not have been
Oh.
technically the worst, but it was by far the most disappointing. With something like Ronda and Shayna, my expectations were already low. But this was just the biggest letdown of the year and the most astronomical decline, crash, and burn Hindenburg Hiroshima mega push that I've ever seen in all my life. Gable Steveson, I could argue that they should not have put him on such a high pedestal with such high hopes, but good heavens, man, this was
Heavens.
so bad. So
When you
yeah, I
make
gotta
me
go
feel
with that.
bad, when you make me feel bad for Baron Corbin,
Yeah,
that's all you need to know.
Yeah, he did his best, but what can you do? But anyway, moving back onto the positive side of life, let's talk about pay-per-view of the year. And Jay, I believe it's your turn up next. Which way you going for pay-per-view of the year?
It's funny. This pay-per-view, I actually got to watch the ending, and then I had to rewatch it because we came home from Atlantic City that weekend. But it was all out. Sorry, let me try again. All in. Sorry, it was all in London. That pay-per-view from start to finish, like you have Better Than You Bebe versus Aussie Open, Hook versus Jack Perry, Punk versus Joe. Like you can just go through the match on the card, and just there is just like one of the moments that held it for me was Sting and Darby coming out to Sting's old song of Seek and Destroy by Metallica. That made the pay-per-view for me. And then you end it with MJF beating Adam Cole. You can't do a better pay-per-view than that.
All right. And Tarek, what's your pick for pay-per-view of the year?
I'm actually going to go with Backlash. And we talked about it before. It was the crowd that made that show even a lot more special. Every match felt important, especially that main event, and just having the crowd just full on going with Bad Bunny's theme. I don't think I really felt that way with any other show. And yeah, I'm gonna go with Backlash.
All right, good pick. Brian, it's your pick up next. Who you got?
This is gonna sound real bad because I forget because I'm having trouble remembering the name of the actual show, but I'm gonna throw it out to you guys and you'll know probably immediately which one I'm talking about. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Bryan Danielson.
Oh, Wrestle Dream.
It was Wrestle Dream. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wrestle Dream
I'm
in
going with
October.
I'm
Good
I'm
choice.
going with AEW Wrestle Dream because first of all, that was the first Swerve Hangman match. That that was a pay-per-view for me where I had my issues with All In. Not everything hit for me on All In. Everything hit for me on Wrestle Dream. And I got a bunch of dream matches. Everything hit. And that's what I look for that's what I look for on a pay-per-view of the year. Did everything on the card hit? Nothing was bad about that show. Nothing was okay about that show. Everything hit. Wrestle Dream.
All right, you're certainly not going to get any argument from me. However, for me personally, All In did indeed do it. I'll tell you this though, WrestleMania could have very easily taken the top spot if they had stuck the landing, if they actually had Cody win and finish the story and do that whole thing, just close it out the way it deserved. But they tripped over their own feet at the very end, and that's what allowed All In to break away from the pack, in my opinion. So I'm going with All In. Charlie, which way you going?
I'm gonna separate where they didn't stick the landing and go with WrestleMania Night 1.
Okay, I can see that. I can see that. I will not argue that one either. I see your logic. Very good. But that will bring us to the next match on the card. I am too many pieces of paper in front of me. Bear with me.
Next match on the card, huh?
Next match on the card, next match category on the awards show. You know what I'm talking about. What you don't know is the one I'm leading up to, which is worst pay-per-view of the year. And meanwhile, I totally lost track of who's up next.
Probably me.
Tark. Oh, no,
Let's go with,
sorry.
Tarek. Tarek, worst pay-per-view of the year. Let me have it.
This one's a hard one because when you really look at it, there was no real bad pay-per-view this year. Every single show was a thumbs up. It's now just really which one was just the weakest, and I'm gonna go with SummerSlam. Because I just remember going in with such high expectations with being the number 2 WWE show, and it just underwhelmed me.
Okay, I can see that. Brian, which way you going?
We talked about this before coming on air because once again, I wasn't completely sure about which show I was talking about, but legitimately there was only one show. This show, this year, based off of previous years on pay-per-view, like this year was fantastic for pay-per-view. It really was. Pay-per-view, PLE, you rarely had anything go wrong. But the one show that I had mostly bad things to say about turned out to be Payback. The show with Raquel Rodriguez versus Rhea Ripley, the show that had Shinsuke Nakamura versus Seth Rollins in a last man standing match. I'm pretty sure they flew in Great Muta or KG Muto or whatever, and you thought something great was going to happen, but no, it was just a standard face wins the last man standing match. It's like it was a show where nothing happened. Like we were all waiting for a Damian Priest cash in at the end because we were all like, it's a last man standing match. What are we doing? Why are we having a last man standing match if nothing's gonna happen? And nothing happened. That was basically why I said that was the worst pay-per-view of the year. It was the one show where nothing happened.
Yeah, that's the exact way I would put it too. Payback is my pick too. It's just like it wasn't. It was like flat soda. It wasn't bad, but it was just the least satisfying of other shows of its kind. It just didn't do it for me. Charlie, what's your pick?
I don't remember a damn thing from Payback, so let's go with that.
Can't argue with that. That's a strong case in itself. And with that, Jay, worst pay-per-view of the year.
I have to go with Crown Jewel. It just was not a good show, in my opinion. I went back and I watched a couple of matches from it. And I'm like, there's nothing going on in this pay-per-view. Like, what am I supposed to give a crap? So, yeah, Crown Jewel.
Fair
Next.
enough. And the next category is Women's Wrestler of the Year. And Brian, it's your pick up next. Who do you got for Women's Wrestler of the Year?
Rhea Ripley. All day, every day. Muscle mommy. Come on now.
I will not argue muscle mommies all day. Join the club. Charlie, which way you going?
Let me tell you something about Rhea Ripley. I was at Madison Square Garden Tuesday. She got an ovation akin to Lita and Trish in the Attitude Era. The whole place, man, woman, child, on their feet for Muscle Mommy. Rhea Ripley.
All right. I dig it. Jay, are we developing a consensus here? Or you got someone else?
Not even close. I got to go with the Shining Samurai. I got to go with Hikaru Shida. She had a banger of a year, 3-time AEW's women's champion, and just whenever my wife says, "Oh hi, Kenny," I say, "Oh hi, Shida."
Respect. Respect the waifu game. I dig it. And Arik, your pick for Women's Wrestler of the Year.
It's mommy. It'll always be mommy.
I dig it. I dig it. Lots of good picks all around. But now we're into our final two categories, which our penultimate category for us if at the Scholars of Wrestling show, if you've been following us for some time. The penultimate pick is the Need of Clear Liquid Award. This is the award for the worst, or at least the most disappointing, glum, just plain bad, worst moment of the year overall. And with that, let's see. The next one would be me, if I'm getting that order correctly.
Yep.
So, with this moment, the Need of Clear Liquid Award, I looked at this a couple different ways. I came close. This could be like 1 and 2. Either one could take because they're just. Originally, I was going to give this to the whole CM Punk and AEW situation. I can't put it all on Punk just because of all the unpleasantness and all the unprofessionalism from so many people involved, even though we don't know the full story just yet. It was just really disappointing. But then something else happened. I assumed for years, I may have even mentioned it out loud, that the only wrestler passing that would really make me legitimately sad was Mick Foley. I now understand that that is not true. Because Mick Foley, much like his friend and idol Terry Funk, he's getting up there in years. He's got a full career, full life. It'll be a life well lived. The passing of Bray Wyatt was not only just sad, it was shocking.
It was the worst thing that happened this year.
He was, and he's our age, which made it even more
Yeah.
unsettling. It was just there's no one like him, and there is probably never going to be anyone like him again. This is going to be the moment that will affect me far more than any other wrestler for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
This is just sad on so many levels, and we will never get to see what he could have been. But now he is essentially, to the wrestling world at least, immortal. So with that, this is definitely, without a doubt, my pick for the Need of Clear Liquid Award. But with that being said, I hope he's an early lock for this next year's Hall of Fame. I hope Wyndham Rotunda gets in because he deserves it, and I really wanted to see so much more. On that glum note, Charlie, the Need of Clear Liquid.
I'm right there with you. At first, I was looking at this as an award of ooh, gross, like get that off my TV. But then I looked at it in a different light, like you, and it was the worst thing to happen in wrestling this year. So I got to go with Bray Wyatt's death as well. I do like that he's on a Legends contract now with all proceeds going to his kids. But that's not enough. He has to be in Hall of Fame as well.
All right. No argument for me there. Jay, it's your pick up next. Need of Clear Liquid Award. What are you giving it to?
Not Need a Clear Liquid. It was more like I need to wake up from a bad dream. It was Bray Wyatt's passing. It shook me to my core. Literally, like, I saw it on my phone, and then I had to tell my wife. My wife dropped her phone, like, "You're messing with me." I'm like, "Sweetie, I would not joke like that." That hit me right square in the chest. Because, like you said, Jeff, when someone around our age goes, it just rocks you to the core, and that's the worst thing that happened all year, hands down.
Yeah, especially if we're talking about wrestling shows. Like me and my wife, we're both big fans of Bray, and we've been trying to get to a WWE show to see him for years. We literally were going to go to SummerSlam to see him until COVID shut everything down in 2020. And now it kind of breaks my heart a bit that we're never going to get a chance to see him live. Tarek, lay it on me. Which way you going?
For the longest time, there was something set in stone, and that was Vince coming back or forcing his way back into WWE. But then the situation with Bray hit, and I don't remember a wrestler's passing hit me so hard to the point where like I just remember just being in constant tears every time I thought about it. And even when I have my kids come up to me and just say they miss the wrestler with the Firefly Funhouse. And I just respond, I miss him too. And I see my kids affected, it hits even harder because Bray was such an impact on their lives too. So there, I thought Vince weaseling his way back to try and take over the company again couldn't get topped. But yeah, it was Bray's passing that just hit was a completely different level. And it's just I'm trying to hold back tears just thinking about it now.
Yeah, for sure. And Brian, unless you got something else, I think we got consensus here.
Yeah, the as I said before the show went on, I was going to go with Brawl In because that's basically the easy one. That's the that would probably be the most disappointing thing of the year, but it's like I'm at the point now where I've been trying to block it out. The fact that he actually left this earth this year, and the moment you brought it up, okay, I started getting choked up and all that. And it's like you legitimately can't go with anything else than the passing of Bray Wyatt just because of what it represents and what it took away and what we'll never get again. Because no one has that level of creativity anymore to be able to pull off any of the things he did. And I'm just happy that the impact he left behind him, as you said, okay, he's basically immortal now. And not only should Bray Wyatt has to go in, I think they have to put Luke Harper in at this point too. If you're gonna put, you might as well do them both.
Put in the whole damn Wyatt family at this point.
Yeah,
I'd say they're okay.
because it's like you're never gonna get that again. You're not. Nobody on this planet anymore can pull that kind of can pull that kind of thing off.
Yeah, this one hit hard. You can tell it hit hard when we couldn't even bring ourselves to do a show that week in the immediate aftermath. Like that that was among the toughest things for all of us collectively, I know. So again, if we haven't said it before on this show, we're going to say it now. Thank you, Bray. We miss you. We all your fans love you and hope to see you down the road. We wish all the best for your family. But that being said, we got to kick this off on a more optimistic note by highlighting the best overall moment of the year in what we like to call the You're Welcome Award. The way we like to kick off every great show at the Scholars of Wrestling show. And now we're going to give a tip of the cap to our most favorite, best moment of the year. And Charlie, you're the first one in line on this one. Close us out. What do you got?
We all know.
But close. Close. You think you know, but you don't. It has to do with him, but it's not that. Something about being at deadline, the seats that I had, and the moment I was able to witness brought tears to my eyes because it reminded me of when I met CM Punk or when I met Shawn Michaels. But when CM Punk and Shawn Michaels shared the same ring and CM Punk broke down like a child and took a selfie with Shawn Michaels, that just got me because I felt CM Punk's joy when I met CM Punk and when I met Shawn Michaels. And seeing the two of them in the same ring collectively taking that selfie, I was in heaven. So NXT deadline, Shawn Michaels and CM Punk in the same ring.
All right, I respect it. Jay, your pick up next. What is your pick for the best moment of the year, the You're Welcome Award?
I did a lot of thinking about this, and for me, it's like entrances are always a big thing for me. Who had the big pop moment? Who had the moment that stood out with me the longest? I had to go with Bullet Club Gold's entrance at All Out. Just you hear the sword go, the lights go down, the lights come up, and it's a spotlight. And then you got Jay White with his jacket, you got Colt with the wink, you got Juice doing yeah, and you got Colt Austin going guns up. Just that was the best entrance I've ever seen by a collective stable group. Hands down, it just the music, the moment, just the pop they got, just that was the moment I was just like, I was loving All Out. I'm like, it's a great pay-per-view, but I was just like right there. Guns up, baby. Bullet Club Gold entrance. Mwah. That's just I still got goosebumps from that moment.
All right, nice pick. All right, next up we've got Tarek. What is your You're Welcome moment of the year?
It actually is funny because it was going to circle around with my needed clear liquid when it came to the Endeavor deal. It was mainly just because the whole point of it, I was nervous because it all was just one big scheme that Vince McMahon was trying to do to take full control back of his company. But the Endeavor deal just completely blew up in his face when Ari Emanuel was just like, "Yeah, you're not really gonna be taking control over anything. You're not. We're gonna have Paul Levesque be full control of creative. You're just gonna be nothing more than a TV deal guy." And that pretty much just made me hopeful that WWE television is actually going to be actual good quality television that I could be actually invested in instead of just scared of what Vince could do if he ever took control of creative again. So with that, the Endeavor deal turned out to be just a big blessing in disguise because it worked against Vince McMahon trying to basically weasel his way back into taking full control of his company again. And I couldn't be any more relieved because now the current product is just it's such better storytelling. It's better quality storytelling. And now I'm actually proud to really say I am a wrestling fan again. And that was the one thing that really made me hopeful of this year.
All right, I dig it. Brian, it's your pick up next. You're Welcome Award of the year, best moment of the year.
Look, everybody knows that I have a problem with this guy. Okay. Everybody knows that I was never as high on him as everybody else to begin with. I thought that he cut one really great promo and kind of just sailed from there. I never really thought I wasn't as big on the train as everybody else was. Okay, and then everything in AEW happened, and it's like I felt myself proven right over and over and over again and all that. But Okay,
Say
we're
it.
talk we're talking about moments here. We're talking
Say
about
it.
moments, and the biggest and best. If you want a moment, okay, the best one of the year. Yeah, I hate the guy, but it's CM Punk coming out at Survivor Series.
Yes.
It is because we're talking about moments. We're talking about a You're Welcome award, and it's like you never thought you would see CM Punk back in the WWE in your lifetime. What was it? 6 years? What was it? 10 years ago? 6 years ago?
I think
Something
it's more
like that.
like 8 or 9.
Yeah, and it's like we're lucky to even have him back in wrestling. Let's slow down on the WWE talk, all right? And then all of a sudden, okay, Survivor Series. It's like, yeah, okay. It, I'm like, but we're talking about moments here. We're talking about big moments. We're talking about moments where listen to the crowd. Okay, we talked about Backlash earlier, where the crowd was into it the entire time, but they were never as loud as they were in that moment. And even though I don't like them, I can't
Deny it.
I can't deny that. So if we're talking about moments, best moment of the year, yes, it's CM Punk coming out at Survivor Series.
I will agree with you that that was a very strong moment, but for me personally, there is no question. I'm going to go more meta. I'm going to agree with you, Tarek. I'm going to agree with the whole Endeavor buyout and the ultimate removal, the permanent removal of Vince McMahon from the creative process. Because really, if you go back and watch some of the old discussions and episodes that we had from WrestleMania 39, we got a double whammy of Roman Reigns beating Cody Rhodes, which took a wind out of a lot of sails. And then immediately a day after, we've got confirmation that WWE is being sold and Vince McMahon has returned. That was a 1-2 punch that demoralized me and my fandom so completely, and so many wrestlers backstage. It was absolutely horrible. Think it was going to go back to the bad old days in just a matter of months before Triple H's reign was really solidified and creative. And for a number of months, yeah, things were really bad. Things were very depressing and glum. But once the things started developing as the year progressed, we got Vince McMahon be essentially, as you said, a so-called coup is now backfiring. Now Triple H is firmly and 100% in control of creative. Vince McMahon is out of the way. This is that moment that led to so many other moments, including the return of CM Punk. Because I'm convinced that if Vince McMahon was still in charge of WWE today, there is absolutely no way at all CM Punk was going to be back in WWE. But the second it was established very loud and clear that Triple H was the guy and Vince was not touching anything, that instantly took the CM Punk question to a never again, to a maybe. For as much as I've sort of been like, it wasn't perfect regime change with your Lacey Evans and Eliases and Rick Boogs of the world. Yeah, some names did sort of like flounder in this regime change, but by far, the Triple H regime was by far a net positive, and that didn't just have massive repercussions for this year in wrestling, but is going to completely reinvent WWE going forward in the foreseeable future. Like I said before, that 1-2 punch of McMahon coming back, I wasn't going to get tickets to WrestleMania when it was in our neck of the woods. Now, my tune has changed completely. I got my tickets for WrestleMania 40. I'm going to be there. It's going to be a spectacular show, and it's one I am more excited about than ever because of all the things that have stemmed from this one moment. Vince is out, Endeavor's bought everything, and Triple H is back where he needs to be. All hail the King of Kings, baby. We're there.
Although it was Nick Khan that brought CM Punk back, but it's still it's still a win.
Either way, even if it's just a perceived level of confidence, even though if it was Nick Khan who brought him back, you cannot deny that Triple H firmly reasserting himself in the creative position
Oh,
that
absolutely.
he is, that from a morale perspective alone has jumped everything way up.
Yes.
And it's not just the WWE, it's the entire world of wrestling as a whole. And us as fans, all we can do is sit back and be beneficiaries of everything. So with that, I am going to get off of my soapbox. Those are our picks, not just for AEW World's End, but those are the Scholly Awards for the best and worst of 2023. But now that the year is done and our picks are out there, we want to know what you think, our fellow fans. So drop us a line all across the internet. YouTube comments, Facebook posts, wherever you are, we are, especially on the Twitter machines. Scholar Tarek, where can he reach you?
You can reach me now thinking of wanting to see R-Truth and Omos as a comedy tag team, like Santino Marella, Great Khali levels of comedy tag team at the Avataric.
And Brian, where can
Thank
they
you,
reach
Charlie.
you?
You're
You
welcome.
can find me bleaching my brain from that combo at Atomic Beanpole.
Charlie, where can they reach you?
You can find me counting down the hours till that championship is mine at Charlie.
And Jay, where can they reach you?
Reach me at Hero 316, and boy, I hope that comedy duo does not happen because I'll bleach my eyes out. I swear to God.
And you can find me at I'm Robbie Rage. And for all of these relevant social media links and much more, you can check us out on our link tree at the description below. That's linktree/Scholars of Wrestling. And with that, that is our show. Friends, thank you so much for joining us for another great year of wrestling and the Scholars of Wrestling show. It's been one hell of a ride, and there's a lot more to come with arguably right around the corner, our biggest Royal Rumble game to date, with the biggest stakes and the most implications for the entire year. And for that, we only have two words for you. You're welcome.
You're
welcome.
welcome.
Oh, by the way,
yes.
Scholar of the Year, that'll be announced next year after World's End. That's why we haven't I haven't announced it yet.
There you go.
Next week. Yep.
There you go.
There, next year.
Perfect. Tarek, thank you for that. Stay tuned for next year for Scholar of the Year for 2023. See you for the Royal Rumble and much, much more right around the corner. We'll be there because you know who we are. We are the Scholars of Wrestling, and you have just been schooled. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
See you all in 2024.